Maybe Alex is going to have to use his Ninetales to make sure that rain isn't up so that Hearthflame Ogrepon actually has access to those big Ivy Cudgels, because you don't just want to rely on Hornleech as your only stab move.
And here we have the first 4 Pokemon being thrown out. There's no weather in play right now, but what that means is both of them could have those weather setters in the back, and it's going to be a set of mind games for who throws it out first, because once you throw out your weather setter, you've almost lost the weather war at that point.
Exactly. That really probably is why we're seeing them in the back right now. So we have Landorus putting Intimidate down on the field, really mitigating Iron Hands and Shenpao's damage. But Landorus also has to worry about something like a Fake Out Ice move combo. So right now the big question on my mind is just like, who has the faster Iron Hands here? Because that's really going to dictate so much about how these Fake Out wars are going. Thaison saying, I don't know about the hand speed tier. I just know that I want to get a Fake Out immunity on my Shenpao, and going for this Terra Ghost right away.
Yeah, that's an interesting play, but it also means Shenpao is guaranteed to get an attack off this turn. He doesn't need to worry about getting completely walled out. The Fake Out goes into the Landorus, which means we're not going to get any setup there.
Oh, and Alex's Fake Out is going to fail into the Ghost-type Shenpao. Landorus flinches, and Shenpao is able to go for a Lash Out, and even though this is the first turn of the game, that's still boosted by the Intimidate that Landorus threw down on the leads. That's huge damage from the Lash Out. And now Landorus is well inside of Sucker Punch range. Shenpao is not terribly afraid of any damage on the field. That was a huge turn 1 for Thaison at the cost of the turn 1 Terra. I wonder how Alex is going to be able to recover from this, because, you know, you don't really want to be losing your Landorus to a Sucker Punch for no reason. So I have to wonder, what can he withdraw it into? Is Iron Hands going to have a safe play to cover that slot with maybe a Sucker Punch, Drain Punch combination or something? Alex is really going to be on the back foot right now.
That's a great point. And right now, if I was Alex, I'd be worried about losing this Landorus to that Sucker Punch. And honestly, at this point, Thaison has a huge advantage, especially just in regards to the number of Pokemon on the field. But
yeah,
we're going to see possibly Weather come out now when he is forced to switch a Pokemon. And if Thaison has his Weather Setter in the back, that's gonna be a Weather win.
It's so important to just go up even one Pokemon in a matchup like this. So last turn we saw both Iron Hands go for Heavy Slam, which is interesting because I'm not sure why Thaison wanted to go for it, but it was probably to cover that Landorus switching out, and that might have been why Alex decided to just sacrifice it to the Sucker Punch. And Alex going for Heavy Slam of his own, just making sure that he put some damage on Shenpao without taking recoil in the process. And now Amoonguss is hitting the field in a pretty good position. Even though Landorus is off the field in the graveyard, that Intimidate is still really paying dividends and making sure Shenpao can't do too much to it. And especially with the Pokemon that we see on Thaison's side in the back, there are no Spore Switch-ins whatsoever. If Amoonguss wants to put something to sleep, it's going to sleep.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that's going to really stop Amoonguss from slowing this game down. Goldengo could have been a pick, but he's not.
Yeah, Goldengo and Rillaboom could be huge, but the fact that Thaison doesn't have them might give Alex a chance to get back into the game. Shenpao getting rid of that Intimidate and swapping right into Pelipper.
And here comes the first bit of weather for this set. I imagine it's not going to be the last.
Ooh, Amoonguss with a really conservative Protect there. That seemed like it could have been a nice turn to go for a Spore. Amoonguss catching a Heavy Slam here, but I don't... Let's see how Iron Hands on Alex's side responds. And it's a Drain Punch into Thaison's Iron Hands, doing some pretty hefty damage.
I really have to question how much damage that Heavy Slam would have done to Amoonguss. I imagine that Protect will not pay off in the long run.
No, that Heavy Slam was just not threatening Amoonguss very much, and now it has to stare down Pelipper. Let's see what Terra type this Amoonguss is. It looks like it's a pretty standard Water type. However, that means Amoonguss couldn't do anything about something like a Hurricane and Wild Charge combo. That would just be a guaranteed super effective hit, followed up by another hit on Amoonguss. Let's see who Alex is going to use this Terra on.
Yeah, and as you said, it looks like it's the defensive Water Terra, but if Thaison has put the Wild Charge into that Amoonguss slot, I think Alex is about to have a bad time.
Yeah, especially because Amoonguss is just protected. This is like a relatively safe pin if Thaison sees it. Amoonguss taking the Hurricane pretty well. Looks like it lands a Confusion. And Iron Hands following up with the Wild Charge. Due to the Intimidate earlier, though, Amoonguss is actually able to hang on. Iron Hands taking a lot in recoil, and Amoonguss is... Here's a Wild Charge from Iron Hands, scoring a one-shot knockout on the Pelipper.
And we have Rocky Helmets on both sides there, dealing some damage to those Iron Hands. There's some recoil coming out, but I'm surprised. Alex managed to turn that around more than I was expecting, and that Intimidate was massive.
Oh, and Amoonguss is able to attack through the confusion and connect a Spore on Iron Hands. Alex is really starting to find his way back into the game. However, this is going to be a really good free switch from Thaison's side. Amoonguss is well within Lash Out range. Iron Hands, I'm not sure if it can score a one-shot knockout on Chen Pao with Wild Charge right now. It might be kind of close. However, I think Lash Out is a contact move, so if Chen Pao takes even a little bit of recoil damage, that's really going to impact whether it's going to be able to make it out of this turn alive.
That's a great point, and I want to actually clarify. So I had never seen Lash Out on Chen Pao until recently. Is this a new move that was released?
Yes, it's
with the
actually
DLC?
with the move tutors, and even though it's a little bit weaker than things like Crunch and Throat Chop at 75 against 80, that bonus effect that we saw in play on the first turn of the game is so important for it.
Interesting. Okay.
So Chen Pao starting off with the Protect, letting Iron Hands waste its guaranteed sleep turn. Alex going for a Wild Charge into Chen Pao. Let's see what Amoonguss is going for here. This could be, a Spore on the Chen Pao slot as well. It could even be something like a Pollen Puff to heal off Iron Hands. And it is just going to be Amoonguss hitting itself, not for very much damage, but wasting a turn that's pretty important, because now, with the faster Pokemon on the field, Thaison is going to have a chance to go for a one-turn Wake on his Iron Hands.
It's going to be a bit of a roll here on that sleep, but Thaison being able to get an entire turn of sleep through without Alex getting anything done is extremely important for him.
Yeah. And I wonder what's going through Alex's head. Like, maybe on Tyson's side, there might even be a safe something like, ooh, so Amoonguss, snapping out of confusion, just going for a Protect. Is Thaison able to call this and connect an Ice Spinner on the Iron Hands? Oh, Icicle Crash,
there
even better.
Not quite enough damage to take it out, but if there's a little bit more recoil through a Wild Charge, it gets into a very close spot.
Chen Pao going down to just one Wild Charge. I'm not sure if Iron Hands is going to go down to that recoil, but it's going to be really hanging on by a thread at this point.
Yeah, not quite enough.
And Amoonguss using that Protect. I mean, I guess Urshifu is a Pokemon that we don't exactly like to use Protect in front of it anyway, but Urshifu really just has its pick of the litter on who to look for a knockout on at this point. It's tough to say what's going on in this game. Like, Tyson's going to have a 1 in 2 chance of waking up on this turn, and it feels like all eyes are on Alex's Pokemon in the back to really, kind of turn this around, because otherwise, how are you going to stop the Urshifu from running away with the game?
Yeah, looking at Alex's team, I don't know if he has anything that's going to really stand a chance at stopping this Urshifu, other than maybe a Flutter Mane. So we'll see what that fourth Pokemon is, and we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, so Urshifu is able to score a knockout. Iron Hand's getting the full 3-turn sleep, which means Amoonguss is now free to connect a Spore on the Urshifu, shutting it down.
That is unfortunate, but I believe this means Iron Hands is going to wake up next turn.
Next turn, but that's the thing. Alex has a lot of Pokemon in the back that are not going to give this Iron Hands a chance to move. Something like the Flutter Mane especially. It's actually going to be Ogerpon, though. Ogerpon also definitely not a bad Pokemon to have, especially with the rain ending on that turn, which means Iron Hands is absolutely within range of something like an Ivy Cudgel right now. Urshifu is going to have to worry about something like a potential Horn Leech. I think it's really unlike, so Amoonguss is going for a Rage Powder here, but the question on my mind is just, can Ogerpon finish off Iron Hands here? Urshifu spending that guaranteed turn of sleep. It is the fastest Pokemon on the field due to that Choice Scarf. And Ogerpon just opening up with a Horn Leech instead, leaving Iron Hands a chance to wake up and finish off Amoonguss with a Drain Punch.
You know what? If I was Alex, I probably would have been expecting maybe to get that one-hit knockout on Urshifu, so I didn't need to worry about it next turn if it managed to wake up. But I do have to say I'm a little surprised that attack didn't go into the Iron Hands.
Yeah, I don't know. Urshifu surviving that, pretty comfortably even. I'm not sure if Horn Leech had a shot of knocking it out. It looks like Tyson's Urshifu might be a little bit bulkier than some others. But now Urshifu is going to have a chance to go for that, first turn of sleep. And even if Urshifu wasn't able to wake up, Iron Hands can now start going for Drain Punches, putting down damage, getting its health back. Urshifu is sleeping that turn, so Ogerpon is able to finish it off. So now we've got the Iron Hands and Ogerpon one-on-one. Iron Hands sitting at only about half HP, but with this Drain Punch, Drain Punch not actually putting down much damage. This Iron Hands has been on the field since the lead, so it's still got that Intimidate from the very start.
That's a really good point. That Intimidate has paid off in dividends throughout this match. Alex has managed to survive some attacks that he definitely would not have been able to without it. And there goes the Spiky Shield. Any of that HP that the Drain Punch...
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Thaison making an incredible read to go for a failed fake out to avoid the Spiky Shield damage. That just shows you the level of player that we're working with here.
That was impressive. And unfortunately, it won't end up mattering in this game, but I think that after watching the plays from both players, we can say that this is some high-tier Pokemon.
Yeah, it's just so nice to see players going, really playing to your out even in a desperate position like that, because you always have to do what you can to try and secure that win. So going into Game 2, Thaison, down a game. What kinds of things do you think we need to see from him to adjust and, take the series to at least a 1-1?
That's a great question. I honestly think that maybe getting a Golden Go in the back somewhere so that you have an out against that Spore Amoonguss. There was a lot of turns that were wasted to sleep throughout that game there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think due to the Pokemon that Thaison brought to that game, that's part of the reason why Iron Hands was just stuck intimidated on the field for so much of the game. Because with two water types in the back, you don't really have a safe switch in front of the enemy Iron Hands. So you always have to worry about your opponent trying to read that switch, go for something like a Wild Charge instead of a Drain Punch. If we see either the Golden Go or the Rillaboom in the back for Thaison, I think we would see the potential to go for more switches, and those are also some pretty good Pokemon at punishing Amoonguss for using Terra Water, like Rillaboom especially, would love to go up against that Terra Water Amoonguss.
Even with that slight nerf to Grassy Glide, a Water Terra Amoonguss does not want to deal with Rillaboom.
Oh, I'm noticing something else about Thaison's team. This Rillaboom is not using Wood Hammer. It's got the Miracle Seed Grassy Glide as its strongest move, but besides that, it's just U-turn, Fake Out, Protect. Without Wood Hammer to work with, Iron Hands is not very afraid of this Rillaboom.
I think that might have been something that gave Alex a little bit of an advantage last game, was he was actually not worried about Thaison's Iron Hands for a lot of the game. He knew that Intimidate was down. I think that's why, surprisingly to us, he focused on that Urshifu, because the Iron Hands wasn't posing as much of a threat as I thought it was.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to see the same lead on Alex's side with Iron Hands and Landorus, and on Tyson's side, it's going to be Iron Hands and Golden Go. This could be a really good position for Thaison because, as we saw last game, it appears he's got the faster Iron Hands at this point, which means he could go for a relatively safe Fake Out Landorus Nasty Plot with Golden Go, just taking advantage of Golden Go's Ghost type for that Fake Out immunity. He doesn't even need to stop Alex from using a Fake Out of his own.
That's a great point, and I don't think that Iron Hands is going to pose a threat to taking out that Golden Go in one hit, so you're right, the Nasty Plot could be absolutely huge. And Alex is deciding to actually go for a switch out of the Landorus, possibly just making sure that they have that Intimidate for later.
Yeah, swapping out Landorus in front of two ground-weak Pokemon just shows maybe how telegraphed this Fake Out was. So Alex taking advantage of that. Ogerpon getting in relatively comfortably. Golden Go going for a Nasty Plot. Let's see how Alex's Iron Hands response to this. Wild Charge on Golden Go is a really solid play here. It is going to take Golden Go just below half HP and force it to use its Citrus Berry. So, one thing that's worth mentioning here is this Golden Go is actually using Dragon Terra. Not something that we saw very much of in previous formats, but it's actually really important for Golden Go to let itself resist both of Ogerpon Hearthflame's main moves with Ivy Cudgel and Horn Leech. So this Golden Go is actually just doing a little bit better on the field right now than any other Terra Golden Go would be. Iron Hand's also not in a bad spot itself.
That's a great point. You almost always expect to see the Goldengos with the Steel Terra to get that massive damage, but I guess the meta changes, the meta shifts, and the Dragon Terra could come in huge next turn if they decide to do anything other than Protect.
Yeah. So both of the big offensive threats on the field going for Protect that turn. Here's a Drain Punch from Tyson's end and a failed Wild Charge into the Protect. However, I don't think Thaison got a whole lot out of that turn because now Ogerpon knows that it can safely go after Golden Go. We see how much that Intimidate is affecting Tyson's Iron Hands. That Drain Punch did hardly anything. So it looks like Thaison is even thinking about a switch, and he's also going to have to use that Terra if he wants his Golden Go to actually get off an attack in front of this Ogerpon.
It's going to be a massive investment this turn to get that Terra used just to stay alive, just to get the attack off, especially after investing the entire first turn in trying to get that special attack up. It would be absolutely horrendous to see that Golden go down without getting any damage on the field.
Yeah, so it looks like this, I believe this is Golden Go's Terra here, not Ogerpon's. Okay, I was wrong. This is Ogerpon's Terra. Ogerpon is ready to go on the aggressive, and the only question in my mind right now is where is this Ivy Cudgel going to go?
I would be shaking in my boots a little bit right now if I was Thaison. But here comes the Dragon Terra defensively.
Yup, this is just perfect typing for Golden Go right now. However, it's not, well, actually, yeah, the Dragon Terror would let it resist something like a Wild Charge from Iron Hands as well. So this really is a nice type for Golden Go to turn into. Here comes Ogerpon's +1 Ivy Cudgel. That looks like it's going right for Golden Go. Golden Go is not able to survive the Ivy Cudgel due to a critical hit.
That is unfortunate. So much investment went into making that Golden Go something that could be used throughout the rest of the match. That +2 special attack completely wasted. And the investment of the Terra.
Yeah, Urshifu not taking too much from Drain Punch on switch-in, but definitely worrying about something like a Wild Charge right now. Yeah, gosh, that was just such an unfortunate critical hit. Really, as you said, kind of wasting the early game that Thaison had spent all of setting up. Qianpao and Urshifu on the field might give him a little bit of a chance to get back in the game. Ogerpon just like very uncomfortable in front of Urshifu right now due to the threat of that Surging Strike. So the point that it doesn't even look like Thaison is going for the Surging Strikes here.
I think at this point maybe it would be such an obvious play that he's expecting that it would be an easy switch.
Yeah, and I also have to assume, so Ogerpon swapping out, is this going to be...
I'm expecting a Moongus.
A Moongus, of course. With the Rocky Helmet, that would really be a perfect switch-in for Surging Strikes. And it looks like Thaison has seen through this with a Surging Strikes onto Iron Hands instead.
Absolutely fabulous plays on both sides. But the read on that switch with the Rocky Helmet and Moongus was fabulous.
Yeah, let's see if Qianpao is able to finish this Iron Hands off with an Icicle Crash. It looks like it's going to be a knockout, so Thaison really pushing the advantage that he got from the free switch-ins. And I think it makes sense that he'd have to make like a few fancy plays like that to get back in the game. And even after all that, Amuka still has a pretty solid position on the field, just due to the fact that this Urshifu had to lock into the Choice Scarf Surging Strikes right now.
That's a great point. And as I said earlier, so that Landry switched turn 1 to keep that Intimidate for later. Right now, Thaison has nothing but physical attackers on the field, and he can't double switch. He can't get this Intimidate away. He's going to be playing at least one of these Pokemon at -1 probably for the rest of the match.
And in addition to that, with Golden Go getting knocked out, there's no more Spore immunities on the team. Amoonguss, like, if it wants to go for a Spore, and I think due to that inhibited on Qianpao, I think it might be free to go for a Spore if it wants to. Something is going to sleep, especially that Urshifu slot, which, like, can't even go for a Protect the way that Qianpao can.
No, Amoonguss ran away with the game last round, and the Golden Go did not even get to use its good as gold ability to stop Amoonguss from taking this game away, so we'll see what happens.
So that's going to be Urshifu withdrawing into Iron Hands instead, and Amoonguss just going for a Rage Powder, you know, really opting to keep Landorus safe. Here comes a big Stomping Hand from Landorus, factoring in Qianpao's Sword of Ruin. This is huge damage on Iron Hands, and here comes Icicle Crash for Amoonguss. Not doing lethal damage, but Amoonguss is going to have to worry about a knockout with its next move. And Iron Hand's having Fake Out active. This is, the momentum's really shifting back to Thaison's side for this turn.
Yeah, we can definitely see the Fake Out on Amoonguss to stop it from putting anybody to sleep if it stays alive, and that means we can hopefully get something targeted into that Landorus slot.
Yeah, and Icicle Crash is really like the perfect move for Qianpao to have right now. Not only like doing more damage than Ice Spinner would, but if Qianpao wants to go after Amoonguss, it doesn't have to give up its Focus Sash in the process, just because it's not actually a contact move.
That's a great point.
Landry swapping out into Ogerpon, really fearing something like a Fake Out Ice move combo. Ogerpon getting that Embody aspect, boosting up its attack as soon as it hits the field. Here comes Fake Out, failing into Ogerpon,
and the Icicle Crash goes in. So that was a great switch over on Alex's side for sure. And the Spore from Amoonguss, you hate to see it, but that Xianpao might be asleep for the rest of the round at this point.
Yeah, that is a massive Spore to get off. Just leaving Amoonguss free to attack in front of Qianpao and getting the play right is so crucial. Because now this Amoonguss is actually going to be able to, like, if it just wants to use Rage Powder to mitigate Iron Hand's damage, it's going to be really easy. And Amoonguss not even opting to do that. Just like once Qianpao is asleep, there's not a whole lot really stopping Amoonguss from just going for another Spore.
And also, I mean, there was no way that Iron Hands was going to get a move off with the Ogerpon on the field. Ogerpon is ridiculously fast for something that is... It doesn't look like it should be fast.
So Amoonguss, instead of going for a Spore, maybe try to catch the Urshifu coming in, just going for a Pollen Puff to heal up Ogerpon, which I really like, because I don't know if this Urshifu can actually do anything to finish off Amoonguss in one hit. And, I mean, even if it can...
We're going to see probably, I would suspect, something like a Rage Powder here from Amoonguss. Urshifu's going to Surging Strike Amoonguss, but what are they going to do about the Ogerpon?
Exactly. I think Ogerpon might just be able to finish off Urshifu very safely with the Horn Leech this turn. Amoonguss taking one for the team. Let's see how much this Sword of Ruin Surging Strikes does. It's actually going to end up doing more to Urshifu than it will to Amoonguss just because of how impactful those 3 hits of Rocky Helmet are against Urshifu.
And Amoonguss not even going to go down. Amoonguss, yet again, running away with the game here. And I think that might be it.
Even if Qianpao is able to get a one-turn wake, which it doesn't, finishing off Amoonguss would not change the flow of this game because Ogerpon is just able to go for a Horn Leech to finish off the Urshifu. Now it is really Qianpao against 3 Pokemon, and I'm not sure if it's going to be able to come back.
Well, I would suspect unless Qianpao is able to take this Ogerpon out in a single hit, Amoonguss is just going to Spore again.
Yeah, and even then, we have Choice Scarf Landorus in the back as well. Also a really great Pokemon to finish off the game against Qianpao, kind of making that ground and flying against an Ice-type matchup go a little bit better than you'd expect just because of how fast Landorus is, how impactful that Intimidate can be. Amoonguss just going for a Rage Powder saying, like, hey, I don't want to give Qianpao to crit a hit into Ogerpon or anything.
And actually, that Icicle Crash was targeted into the Amoonguss regardless, so that Rage Powder not really making a difference, but I have to imagine this Ivy Cudgel is...
Ooh, low kick. Showing off just one of your many ways to knock a Qianpao to Focus Sash. Stylish way to end the round. Qianpao is going to be with us for at least another turn because of that Focus Sash. However, I don't like its odds against Ogerpon and Landorus very much.
I'm looking at this moveset. I'm not seeing any spread moves. I don't think it's going to have much of a shot here.
Does Qianpao get any spread moves?
No, I don't think so.
I don't even think they give it Snarl. Poor guy.
Qianpao was not
could
built.
go for a Sucker Punch to, try and finish off the game, but Landry's just going to wrap that round up with a swift U-turn.
Qianpao, perfect for 1v1s, not built for 2v1s. Those were some amazing games from both players. I don't think anybody there did anything that put them at a massive disadvantage. I think they both were able to play those games out extremely well.